Hello and welcome to today's adventure. We're fishing Redfish Bay, very close to Aransas Pass. Not a long boat ride this morning. We're fishing kind of close to the marina. Carrie, she's up on the front of the boat casting this morning. We're just getting started out. We're gonna spend a lot of time today talking about the boat. You've heard us talk about the fishing techniques, gear, tactic, all of those things. Today we're gonna share why my boat is so important to me, why it performs the way it does. The way this boat performs allows me to access the ultra shallow, ultra clear flats of Redfish Bay. We're always trying to push the limits, getting into the shallowest water, sight casting, spotting fish. This boat is a 22-foot modified V, 3/4 tunnel. And we're gonna get into more data as the day goes on. We're gonna explain those things specifically. Couldn't perform at the level I do without it. So shout out to the guys at Dargel Boats. We're gonna spend some time fishing and we're gonna see what we get into today. First drift this morning, nice hookup on a redfish. This one was crazy, took me on a nice little trip around the boat. Sometimes they're quick and easy, come up to the boat, sometimes they're feisty. They always go for the under the boat move. They get around the back of the propeller, that's always the danger zone. You want to really be careful about maneuvering the fish. Beautiful 24-inch redfish, really feisty this morning. The water temperatures are cool. These guys are full of energy right now because of the water temperature. They really have a lot of fight in them. This guy had a little tore up fin on top, looked like he'd been doing battle. We always like to promote conservation. We like to put some fish back in the water, so we're gonna let this guy swim away to fight another day. We're gonna keep fishing. We're gonna make a few casts. We got Carrie up on the front with us today, an amazing angler. She's always working hard. If this boat is drifting, she's casting. We're gonna keep making a few casts. We're gonna spend a nice day on the water and see if we can get some more fish in this boat. Okay, we got into some action pretty quick this morning. We got Carrie hooked up on the front of the boat. We saw the blow up. I had a feeling it was a speckled trout. It's not uncommon that we land fish by hand at the side of the boat, but this one, we definitely want to get a hand on it. So we used the net, brought it in, snapped a couple photos. Absolutely beautiful fish. This fish was in like 1 foot of water, cruising the grass beds, a lot of mullet swirling around, a lot of life in the water, but we didn't actually see the fish. It was blind casting. Through to the sand holes, couple casts, beautiful hookup. The big speckled trout went for this little red and white top water. Floats on top, looks like a little wounded mullet. We also make a little modification. I like to remove the treble hooks. Treble hooks are really hard on fish. Hook them in the eyes, they hook them in the gills, they hook them in the abdomen. And even though that fish swims away, it's pretty good chance it's gonna be mortally wounded and not survive after that. So we do add straight hooks. I find that they work just as well. We get just as many consistent hookups, and actually in certain circumstances, I feel that works better. But that's a subject we'll discuss in future episodes. The rod she was using today, nice little 6'6", medium action, custom made for her, Shimano Stratic reel, perfectly balanced, matched for the rod. We had a great morning, caught some beautiful fish, but like I said earlier, today is about the boat. So let's get into this boat talk today. The Dargel Skout, 22 foot is what I run, but there are several varieties. There's a 18, there's a 20, there's a 22, there's a 24. They all have the same characteristics and they all perform well, but they each have their own individual attitude as well. It is a semi-modified V-hull with a 3/4 tunnel, which means the front will slice the water, but there is a tunnel that goes over the almost the entire length of the boat. So as the boat moves forward, the water is funneled into that tunnel, which allows the propeller on the back of the boat to run in the tunnel. And when this boat is up on step, when it's running at full speed and it's trimmed and tilted up, the propeller is actually above the water. It gives you the ability to skim on the shallowest flats. So once it gets started, it's on top of the water, running in the tunnel, and it's running off of the water that is flowing out of the tunnel. One of the biggest challenges when you're exploring the ultra shallow flats is launching your boat from the area. We fish in very sensitive areas. There's very lush seagrass. We do not want to damage that grass. We do our best to limit that. So this boat, with the proper horsepower and proper rigging, as soon as you hit the throttle, as soon as it goes forward, it starts to lift. All of the flat surface on the bottom of the boat will create lift. So as soon as it moves forward, within just a few inches, this boat is going to ride up on top of the water. There's also a couple of techniques that you can do to make that even more improved. You can spin in a nice tight little circle. You can use the torque of the propeller and turn the wheel all the way to the left. And as that torque of that propeller spins, it will also drive the back of the boat up faster, where you launch in a very tiny area. So if you're on the grass beds, you can motor out to a sand hole. You can find something that's just a few inches deeper. You spin that boat in a circle, and from there you're above the grass. Okay, so I'm going to show you around the boat. There are several configurations, different ways to customize your own boat. This boat was customized to my needs. I like space, I like wide open areas for casting and for fishing. On this one, I have the raised console. It's actually a huge compartment on the bottom that the console is mounted on top of. So you have all of your batteries underneath this box. This is all dry storage. It's full of life jackets, first aid gear, and things that you want to keep handy but you don't really need every day. I like the bench seat on mine. People go as crazy as they want to. Bucket seats, powder coated, matching upholstery. I like to keep mine pretty simple. I have rod holders that are very handy behind the seat as I'm switching out. If I'm going from top water to a soft plastic, you just put one in the holder, grab it, and move on to the next. They're always ready to go. And across the back of the boat here, we have access to hatches. This is a nice little live well right here. Tournament fishing, you want to keep stuff alive, bring them in to the weigh-in. I love Suzuki power. This is my 5th Suzuki engine I've run. Dependability. It'd be hard pressed for me to change those. Many years, all I've ever done is hit the key and just keep on fishing. So I have the power pole on the back. You want to stop, you see something, you just want to pause. It's as simple as pushing the button. We spend a lot of time drifting, just like we're doing now. As we drift across the flats, we're throwing at sand holes. If you see something that you just want to pause on, boom, hit the pole, park the boat for a minute. As we're drifting across the flats, there's a little button right here on the dash. You just push it, pole goes down, and stops the boat, parks us in the grass. Once you've made your cast, search the little area, pole goes up, and you're back on your way. Been on the market for a while. There's a lot of options out there, but definitely a must-have. The only other accessories I add to the back of my boat, this little auxiliary cooler comes in real handy. This is the fish box. This is where we keep fish that we're going to keep and take home with us. These auxiliary holders, these are for fly rods. We'll latch in there so the fly rods ride in the back of the boat. And when we're fly casting, somebody is up on the front and we want to have all of that space wide open. So I keep all the gear that I use to work with back here in the back of the boat. Fly rods back in the floor. All my conventional stuff here goes up top. Right here at the console, as you move forward, under the console I have my tackle bags, sunscreen, pliers, boga grip. So as we're drifting along and the action is taking place, I have everything I need handy right here at my feet that I can grab and take care of business when I need to. As much fun as it is, there's a lot of business that takes place on this boat as well. So this is pretty much the working area where all that happens. A big part of launching in the shallows is the jack plate. It's actually a setback and it lifts it up. So when I was talking about the tunnel and how the propeller runs in the tunnel, this actually allows the entire engine to be lifted above the grass. When you raise the engine to that level and you tilt it down, it puts the propeller at an angle. When you hit the throttle, it is driving the back of the boat up in the water column. And so once you get up to speed, you can trim that motor up to where the propeller is pointing straight out the back and even up a little bit and still riding in that tunnel. A huge part of running shallow is the jack plate. It really won't perform without it. Up front is all built for comfort for the passenger. We got the refreshment center right up here on top. Cold drinks always ready to go. And then we have cushioned front seat, storage underneath. This is a huge live well. I actually use mine for storage. I don't really keep fish in here that often, but it is equipped for that. It is a waterproof live well where you can put amazingly large fish and keep them alive all day long. Right here on the front, anchor hatch, other hatches that lead to the front of the boat that keep wet things in here. On really windy days, we throw out drift socks to control the drift. These guys stay right here. They're always tied on. The troll motor, it gets as much work as the motor, and some days it spends more hours running than the motor on the back of the boat. Gives me the ability to be very specific in where I want to move around. You can be on a drift and you're spotting a sand hole downwind, or you want to go around the edge of the island, or you want to go around the edge of a reef and be very specific. The troll motor allows me to do that. The motor I use, the Minn Kota 80 pound, it's a 24-volt motor. I've always been particular about weight on the boat. I don't want to add more batteries than necessary. So 24-volt troll motor only requires 2 batteries. There are many other troll motors, 36-volt, 48-volt, but at that point you're compensating for the weight. Batteries can get really heavy. So the Minn Kota 80 pound has a nice little remote control. I can stay back there in my seat. Whoever's fishing on the front of the boat has all of this space. I don't have to get up here and get involved with their area to control the boat. Very easy to set up and take down. It's actually spring loaded, which assists in the lifting. The number one thing that makes this boat advantageous to the angler is its shallow water capabilities. There's other boats out there that will slice the waves, that will go across the open chop, but this boat is designed for shallow water fishing. The shallow water is where we do our work. The construction, it's 100% foam-filled hull. You could cut this boat into 20 pieces and all 20 pieces would float. The manufacturing process is what gives it its rigidity. The stringers, the way the fiberglass is laid, the way the foam is filled. These guys at Dargel Boats have been in business for many years. They take care of their customers. They back it up with limited lifetime warranty. The service is amazing. I've been working with these guys for several years. This is my 4th Scout that I've owned. When people go out and pay their hard-earned money for a boat like this, they want to know that they're getting quality. And with Dargel, you cannot go wrong. The people that build them, they have an amazing passion for the craftsmanship that they put in their boats. Well, that's a brief review of the boat. I'm sure there's going to be questions that people have, want to talk about. As you follow along with our series, you know, we always want to get feedback about the things we talk about. There's always conversation that come up. So we're gonna go over here, we're gonna fish a little bit, we're gonna do a couple more drifts. If you own one of these, or if you have a question about it, drop us a comment. We'll be happy to get back with you. Well, that's it for today's episode. Really have a good time coming out, sharing what we enjoy so much with y'all. Had a nice little review of the boat today. We did spend some time fishing. We caught some beautiful fish this morning, all part of the fun. Everybody loves a boat ride as well. It's an amazing place to spend the day. The flats of Redfish Bay between Aransas Pass and Port Aransas, some of the most beautiful flats of Texas. Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed the show, drop us a like, subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started. This is the beginning of a long series. Looking forward to sharing all of that, the areas we fish, the the rods, the reels, the lures, the tactic. All of those things are going to be covered. Thanks again. Beautiful day on the water, beautiful boat, amazing company. Please click on that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.